Hey everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations. So we're going to be talking about the new moon in Aquarius in this video. And what I'm going to be doing is sharing some of my thoughts and reflections and insights and offering a way that you can potentially see how these transits right now not only are sort of moving through you and changing your own psychological and emotional landscape, but how we can best utilize them for an empowering perspective or to see ourselves from an empowered point of view. So the first thing that I noticed with the chart of this new moon was that there is a combination of deeply reflective and contemplative energy that is allowing us the ability to experience a culmination of a very long cycle that we have had within our lives. And then there is this emergent energy that is wanting to burst through, that is wanting to break out, that is wanting to be let loose and move into a new space, as it were. And both of these dynamics are present with regards to the energy at the moment. So what I think is really fascinating about that, from my point of view, is that each of us has an opportunity internally to examine certain pre-defined or carried over personality traits, perspectives, emotional responses to early parts of our lives, and to look at those parts and ask ourselves the question, what is not working for me? Where have I reached a point where the current way that I'm interacting and perceiving and experiencing reality may be working against me? Okay, that's like one scope that can potentially be present with us with these planetary systems. And then there is this other energy that is present at the moment, as I said, that is almost wanting us, not wanting, but is there and offering the potential to break out of and move beyond those pre-existing patterns. Okay. So to utilize this new moon in Aquarius, there is a opportunity to reflect on what am I carrying within myself that I know moving forward doesn't give me positive or empowered outcomes, and that it's ultimately not beneficial for me to keep replicating this pattern within myself. And that's where the other side of the story comes along, where there's this natural energy that allows for a decentralizing moment, an opportunity to break out of or move beyond a certain way, a certain emotional position, a certain perspective that you might hold that often you come back to and think, wow, I really want to work through this within myself, right? So that's kind of the energy present at the moment, which is emergence and culminative and reflective and release. That's the two main energies at the moment. How they manifest in your life and in the world itself will be completely variant. But those are the two primary energies. And then on top of that, from this perspective, at least that I'm trying to offer here, is how can you observe what has arrived at a point that no longer works and affords purpose, meaning, potential in your life, and you know that it's a good idea to begin making changes that not only begins to stop that pattern from expressing itself within life, but also the possibility of some new insight that can help you move forward and beyond that pattern that you may hold within yourself. Okay. So let's jump over to the charts and take a look at the astrology. And so I can kind of tether together the words that I've been using and the astrology at the moment. So you can see it's quite a jam-packed energy, right? You see that whole entire massive stellium with Venus and Mars and Pluto all sitting there, and then even Mercury. And then you see the moon and the sun as well, right? And then you also see Saturn and then Neptune. And then Chiron North Node conjunction, that's coming up like that's 1 degree. So that's a big planetary connection that is very clear and points to something important in the chart. Like if you're looking at this astrology chart, you need to see that that Chiron North Node conjunction is pointing to something very specific in your interpretation of this chart. And I'll explain and kind of break that down for us more. So if we were to just take a look at this chart, the emergent energy that I'm referring to is the Chiron North Node. The emergent pattern that I'm referring to is the relationship between Uranus at 19 degrees Taurus, which is there sitting at the sort of 7 o'clock position, and the new moon in Aquarius sitting at 20 degrees. And that square that's being taken place. Okay, there's a square that's taking place there. So that's where I see there is an emergent patterning that if you were to synthesize the square between Uranus and Sun Moon and the Chiron North Node, you would then be able to see the emergent energy, right? That's where the emergent property is coming out of. That's where those two planetary systems, or those two planetary aspects and systems are working together and saying there's a new opportunity, there's a new horizon, there's a new way of doing something. And the question for you in a self-reflective way is, what is that in my life? Right? The context of that is for you to question, what is new that I want to bring into my life? Okay. So the Venus, Mars, Pluto aspect is the culminative energy that I'm referring to. Okay. The Venus, Mars, and Pluto aspect is the culmination, the contemplation, the moving beyond the old cycle that no longer provides me with value in my life. And so therefore, this is something that has reached the end of the line for me. Okay. So in evolutionary astrology, Venus is in a closing phase relationship to Mars. It's called a balsamic phase. Mars is in a balsamic phase to Pluto. So you have Venus balsamic to Pluto, Mars balsamic to Pluto, and then you have Mars, Venus balsamic to each other. So those three planetary systems are all in a closing cycle. And when you think about it in terms of this conversation, the planetary systems went around and had an entire evolutionary experience and now has reached the end. So oftentimes the way that I teach this in the astrology schools, or if I'm doing mentorship with people, is that when you have balsamic phase energy, it's like you've reached the end of the book when you've read a book. Okay. So you have this whole entire story that you've journeyed on. You have your emotional responses to the characters and to the paths that they were on and what the story revealed itself. Like there's a total awareness of the process. And balsamic phase energy is the moment that you close the book, you put it down, and you access the state of being that's deeply reflective of the experience, the sort of tying up of what you think overall about the book. Is this something you would recommend to people? Did it have an impact on your life? All of these deeply more metaphysical ways of experiencing reality, and also your relationship to the book itself, has come to a completion. And so you might even say to yourself, well, there was some wisdom in the book that I might carry into my own life and apply as I navigate my way through this plane of existence. So that would be the same as a culminative energy, right? That's Mars, Pluto, Venus. And in this case, because the planets are actually moving into this closing phase with Pluto, you can pretty much know that this is the end of the line. It's not like, coming up to the balsamic with Neptune, or balsamic energy towards Uranus, or, Jupiter as an example. When it comes to Pluto, it's like, no, this is the end of the line. Anything beyond this line is eliminated. So from Pluto's perspective, Pluto is saying, here is where the train stops. Here's where the pattern ends. This is where you need to ask yourself the very serious question, what cannot come with me as I emerge into something new. So that's kind of like the orientation and the way to think about these planetary systems. Now, again, Mars Venus in this astrology chart, again, if we're thinking at it from an evolutionary astrology perspective, you've got Mars is the planet ruler of the north node, and Venus is the planetary ruler of the south node. So what you have here is this fascinating dynamic where you've got the ruler of the north node and the south node in a balsamic phase energy to each other. So not only is the nodes actually completing themselves in terms of planetary alignment, but they're also arriving at Pluto's door saying, enough is enough. Like, I'm done with this energy. We're finished. Right? We don't want to move forward with this. So it is the end of the line with things that you don't want to carry forward into this new potential world that Pluto in Aquarius affords, that the Chiron in Aries is trying to point to, and the North Node in Aries is pointing to as well. Okay, so what is that for you? Okay, so I want to shift our attention to the planetary systems that are the North Node and Chiron, as well as the Uranus Moon new phase planetary system. Okay, so I'm going to just have a look and see if I can access another chart. Okay, so this square over here that you're looking at, this is a developmental square that has the word that I want to use is decentralization. Okay, so when something's centralized, it's core connected, right? Uranian experiences or Uranus experiences accelerate us beyond that current moment in time and bring us into multiple states of reality with all of them holding potential. Okay, so think of Saturn as this moment right now. We're embodied in it here. We're present with this. Uranus is there are many people watching YouTube videos at this point in time with completely different themes, video titles. You know, there's one person watching a documentary right now. There's one person watching an astrology video. There's one person watching a crime thriller, whatever. That multiplicity is the Uranian state of consciousness. So with the sun and moon squaring Uranus, what the message here is Uranus and moon, or should I say in this case, the sun and moon, new as a new energy, new seeds, is saying there is potential fields of experiences that are beyond this current moment that are available for you to access if you are open to a new way of something happening. Okay. So if you now begin to synthesize this chart with this planetary system, which is the closing phase energy, and this system, which is there are more opportunities beyond something. Let's see if, let's do this over here. If you synthesize this chart, what you have now is this cycle is closing, this cycle is ending, contemplate it, recognize what needs to not come with you forward, and then be open and wonder about new ways of doing something, be open to curiosity, be open to the potential for something new that is present in your life, or a new perspective, a new orientation, I would say is the key, like a new orientation, right? Orientation, when we are orientated towards something. What is a new way that you could respond to old circumstances, right? That's kind of the potential here. It's the wisdom is, how may I respond in this situation that has this old pattern in a completely new way? And so if that is embodied, if that can take over your attention for this moon cycle, you're definitely well on your way to experiencing emotional growth that these planetary systems are holding for us at this point in time. Now, I can't stress enough how significant this planetary cycle is, because you must know that before Mars and Venus actually made a conjunction to Pluto, Pluto was not in Aquarius, it was in Capricorn. So the last time Mars and Venus conjuncted Pluto was actually when Pluto was in Capricorn, meaning that that prior cycle, that conjunction took place, that new seed took place, okay, has not existed while Pluto has been Aquarius. So again, it's an actual culmination of an entire evolutionary cycle relative to their conjunctions with Pluto in Capricorn. So we have the culmination of Capricorn energy while the potential emergence of new Aquarius ways of being present at the same time. Okay. And then again, as I said, what the wisdom comes from that is, what am I bringing forward into the new, and what types of patterns do I want to leave behind? So how can I respond in a new way? That's kind of the wisdom from Chiron on the North Node. Then, over the last year in 2023, a significant transit was taking place, and a significant aspect for all of us. And that was Pluto. And that was Pluto forming squares, which, if you have a look at this chart over here, let's see if I can get a square for us. Do you see that red line sitting between the Sun, Moon, and Uranus? Right? That red line, that's a square. So throughout 2023, Pluto, the end of the line planet, if I could imagine or animate Pluto, it'd be something along the lines of, there is nothing that goes beyond this boundary. Anything that crosses this boundary will be eliminated. That's it. It's like there's no negotiation. It must be eliminated. So if Pluto's squaring the nodes throughout 2023, all of us have and were experiencing a consistent flip-flopping between a reality that no longer served us and a reality that we wanted to break out of. This new moon in Aquarius is the culmination of that 2023 year. Let that sink in. This 2024, 9th, 10th of February new moon in Aquarius is the culminative energy that is linked to the entire theme of 2023. So all of the things that we experienced during 2023 in terms of energetic patterns, emotional things that we wanted to move forward with in our lives, this planetary system that you're staring on the screen right now is the one that says, final call. Final call. We're not going back to this thing and dealing with it again. This is it. This is the last train that goes beyond this pattern changing thing that we're dealing with. When we arrive at the next destination, this destination you're at now will no longer exist anymore. So the question becomes, are you ready? Are you ready to take that step into that new world where you carry with you the wisdom of those past experiences and the understanding of those past experiences, whatever that is for you, and you bring with you a new perspective that's fresh, that's open to change, that's ready for something new, and allowing yourself to be embodied by that presence. Okay, so that is my take on the new moon in Aquarius. I really hope that you were able to follow along and kind of feel and notice primarily where these types of patterns may be presenting themselves in your life. Some of you may be experiencing these transits very intensely. Others will feel it as, just another day, right? So this is not something that I think probably will land for most of you or for a lot of you, but for some of you, this might actually have a very profound impact. And for me, I'd really love to hear you share with me if this transit field is currently impacting you in a way that's affording you the changes that are happening in your life. Because for me, I like to hear and see how these different planetary systems are playing out for different people. So if you feel open to sharing that, that would be a great thing. Before I go, I have something very exciting to share with you. Me and Jen in the background are doing something. As you can see, my environment has changed. I have finally landed in the home that I've been wanting for a very, very long time. Over the last month and a half, I've been in a state of constant moving. And so finally to sit here and create some content and feel in a space that feels alive and real for me is amazing. And it's very much synced with my own personal transits at the moment. So excited for that. But we are very excited for something that we will be starting to talk about very soon, something in the background that we're working on. Very excited for that. And so, yeah, at some point, I'll be telling you a little bit more about what that is. But for now, just know that there is something in the background that we're going to be talking about for some more. All right, friends, thanks very much for listening. Hope that you have a good weekend, and I'll see you in another video.